Where has the year gone? I don't know about you, but for me it has just simply gone by like so fast. It's incredible. It seems like it was just yesterday that I stood before many of you at my installation where I talked about my goals and some of the challenges that I thought we might face in 2010. I'm really proud to be able to stand here today and say that we were able to accomplish many of those goals. And yes, while we did indeed have some challenges, we faced them head-on and successfully. I also talked about the lighted guideposts that the past presidents of the New Hampshire Association of Realtors left behind, not only to help guide me, but also for all those that follow behind me. Standing here in the twilight of my term, I can honestly say that I have a newfound appreciation, tremendous amount of respect and gratitude for each of those devoted NHAR presidents that have preceded me, and I know there are some in the room. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you so much. YEO, I know you've all heard that. Maybe you don't quite know what it means, but you engaging others. And that was my theme for 2010. And those words represented to me my goals of encouraging open communications among all of our members, both in an online arena and in real life. And I am so pleased that NHAR was able to provide some of the tools necessary and the resources that helped guide our members as they went into and started to engage in what can often be a murky online world. This past year, NHAR has built a solid presence on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and even on YouTube. And yes, we have a blog, and we have a Posterous page. These are all awesome examples of YEO in an online world. If you attended our convention, you might have noticed how unconventional this year's convention was. It continued my theme of YEO. Our newly formatted convention this year combined our Realtor of the Year and our installation of officers. It resulted in a sellout crowd for that evening. We were all together in one room, and it was a wonderful evening. Which is also, by the way, why you have to sit here and listen to my Swan song, because the retiring president's remarks was eliminated in order to streamline the event that night. We also had the first ever New Hampshire Real Estate Bar Camp. That was held on Wednesday following our convention. And that exceeded everyone's expectations, both in terms of the number of attendees and the distance they drove to get there. It's really important that you understand that this was not an official NHAR event. It was a dream of mine and Ann Cummings after we attended our second real estate bar camp in Philadelphia that we flew to attend. We looked at each other and said, we got to bring this home. We've got to bring this to New Hampshire. And we did. And I'm so proud that NHAR became a sponsor and did everything they could to also help us put on that first ever New Hampshire Bar Camp. Those are examples of YEO in real life. And while many of you know me as someone who has been an educator and someone that long ago embraced and adopted the use of social media, both in my personal and my professional life, my goal has always been and continues to be to promote its use throughout our profession. And I've been asked by Tom to continue to promoting its use and other technologies next year, so I'm really excited about that opportunity. Another goal that I had was engaging with our local boards. I had asked to be invited to your local board meetings throughout the year, and many of you invited me. I went to many events last year. I spoke at those events, and I even brought some of you to tears when I talked about the power of volunteerism. I am so grateful for that opportunity and for all of you local board presidents and the staff that made that possible for me to do that. I think it is so important that we continue to keep the lines of communication open and that NHAR's face, its leadership, continues to touch our members as often as possible. I cannot tell you how many members have sent me notes, left comments, sent direct messages, yes, on Twitter and on Facebook and even on LinkedIn, and yes, email and cell phone. And most of the comments were positive, and there were a few complaints. I know Jerry Stark's not in here, but I'll throw that one out for him. But the point is that they knew how to reach me. And when they reached me, they reached NHAR. And I measure that as a huge success in my year, reaching out and engaging with the members on the street. Some of you will know that I started my year in January by hosting a one-day visionary planning session. We had over 30, or just about 30, NHAR directors attend and some staff members. We looked at some really tough issues and asked some very important questions. One, where were we as an association, and where were we headed? The session covered a ton of topics. You know, what's working, what do we need addressed? And I will tell you that the results of that session set the tone for the remainder of my year. Many of the objectives certainly can't be accomplished in 1 year, and I'm thrilled that Tom is continuing on with a lot of them. But at the conclusion of that day, we identified 24 objectives, narrowed it down to 8 that the body thought was very important. And out of those 8, we've been able to start acting on 5 of them this year. One was the NHAR forms training. I'm so proud that the legal committee has taken this objective and turned it into a reality. Each new forms update is going to include member outreach and training. This is something that everyone wanted at that session. The second one, let the public know who we are and what we do. The communications committee didn't have a budget, but they started to work on that this year, and they are incorporating this into their objectives of the 2011 public awareness campaign. The other one was create an NHAR mentor program for local board leadership, to create a leadership academy that can provide education and resources for those new and existing leaders that need help, that need a place to turn to. The result of that objective was the leadership task force that I just put together this year with Roger at the helm. You know, this task force, their recommendations are going to be far-reaching, and I cannot wait till that report is shared with you all. The fourth objective was social media and internet training, with respect to liability, abiding by state law, and a compliance with the Realtor Code of Ethics. We put on a total of 4 sessions, one very early on for association and board staff, 2 at our annual convention, and 1 mid-year for all of our membership to address the liabilities and the issues that are out there when you're out in social media. And the 5th one that we've really worked on hard this year was communication. Reaching out to members and being more visible, and I do believe we certainly accomplished that goal. With our videos, with our attending the meetings, with our member liaisons being so active, we definitely achieved that goal. And I know 2 of the other objectives, co-op, continuing education, working with the local boards, and creating an NHAR business plan are all part of John's objectives for next year. So they're going to be carried forward, and I'm sure they're going to be quite successful. I'm also extremely proud of the work done by our standing committees and task forces, and certainly our working groups. You know, while I'm the president and I'm the spokesperson, I'm only as good as the group behind me, and I've had an awesome team this year. Our communications committee stayed focused on promoting the value of our members even without that budget. And when they did that, they realized how much they really needed to have an image campaign, and they set about having it reinstated. Well done, Ansel, Dave, and the team.